What is going on, everybody? Zach Michael here, and today we're going to be showing you how to make an R&B Rhodes ballad loop from scratch. If you guys do enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Check out all my social medias down below, including elizabethrecords.net, where you can buy all sorts of producing products. So, to get started here, we're going to pick a scale, and we're going to go with D sharp major. That's a good scale to use. We can always pitch the loop up and down after, of course, but you just want to pick a scale that you know pretty well. Now, I opened up an X-Band and I used this preset from my Comet X-Band bank. Sounds pretty fire. There's a bunch of effects and whatnot put on this to give us this sound. And it's definitely a Rhodes, but it's not like a classic keyscape Rhodes. It's definitely got a more modern feel to it, if you will. So we're going to start by picking some bass notes for our loop. Those are going to be our bass notes. We're going to take the bass notes and go up an octave. And if you couldn't tell already, I did some rhythm already in the chords of this ballad, because to get a ballad melody that sounds very full and moves a lot, you need to put rhythm in your chords. You can't just have rhythm in your top line because you won't have enough movement. So that's why I have these pitched over a little bit here. If you could see, they're pushed. And then we're going to go ahead and click Control L, just extend those. Now we have this. We're going to start by building a triads above this. So basically we're just skipping a highlighted note and then going like this, as you can see. Now we have more full chords. So now we're going to start creating a little bit of rhythm in the chords. So step one of that, we're going to move each of these over one. Next, what we're doing is we're going to cut. So on these, we're going to cut 4 bar because they're longer. And on these, we're going to cut 2. And we're going to go ahead and just play that. So just like that, we created some rhythm in our chords. Now we're going to go ahead and turn down these bass note velocities. And of course, we're going to end up randomizing everything once we're done anyway to give it more of a human feel. But I still like, as I'm actually creating the MIDI, to go ahead and like pitch certain sections so that way I have a little bit more control over the randomization. So now we have this as our basic chord progression here. And we're going to go ahead and create some top line. We'll start with just something simple. Let's also know what we have so far. So far we have that, which sounds pretty good. I go ahead and just add a tiny bit more. I'm gonna pitch down these C7s up here. I don't want those to be too loud, just kind of in the background. Now we're gonna duplicate this over. If we wanted to do something a bit more different in this section of the 4 bar, we could potentially pitch the second note on the chords. But we're not gonna do that with this loop, specifically because like on this section here, this motif already has a D sharp. So if we have a 2 D sharps, it's going to double hit. It's going to sound really weird because they're both in the same octave. It's going to double hit this note. We don't want that. So we're going to keep one down a different octave. It's fine if they're in different octaves, but when they're in the same octave, it's going to sound strange. Plus, we want to get the full dynamic range of this. The biggest shifts we're going to do is something very minimal, and we're just going to go ahead and turn those C7s into D sharp 7s. So next step we're going to do is randomize the velocities. And then we're just going to turn all these down because I want it to play a little softer. Now we're going to go ahead and add some processing to this just to get the way we want. I'm going to turn it down a tiny bit. We're going to start with a very simple chorus. Just go to poly chorus and then turn down the percentage of this. Just kind of have that in there minimally. Next, we're going to load up shaper box. And we're going to go to reverse. Use this pattern here. Turn this down to 25. We'll get like a slight reverse effect, but it's very minimal. We might turn this up to 50 depending on if we want a bit more, which I think we do in this case. As the reverses happen here and here, and it's just a very subtle effect. We're going to go ahead and load up RC20 retro color. The key with this is not to use it too much. So we're going to turn off the EQ. We're actually just going to open that up, and we're going to add some tone to this. Turn up the width a bit. I like making my ballads very wide sounding, very ambient, and width is a good way to do that. And let's go ahead, we're going to add a little bit of wobble, but not too much, because wobble is essentially a detune. So if you detune too much, your loop's going to sound really weird, especially in like conjunction with other melodies that might be added on top later on. You might add a little bit of noise. See this vinyl sound? I don't want much of that, but maybe just like a little bit. And we can add a little bit of distortion just to, you know, give some sort of volume boost, if you will. And last, we're going to add a little bit of reverb. Do a low cut, add a little bit of decay time to it. And just like that, we have our sample. Another thing I like to do with a lot of my ballad samples is create a section that doesn't have any of the top line. And I do this just because now I have another section of the loop that's more simpler. And then in addition to that, something I also like doing is on the master, I'll add a halftime. And then I will automate the halftime. So for a section of the loop, it'll be a halftime. And on the master, we're also going to add an EQ just to cut some of those lows we don't want. So now we have a full section and we have a halftime section. And that right there is how you create an RNB Rhodes piano loop. If you guys enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Head on over to elizabethrecords.net if you'd like to support me. You can purchase VST expansion banks, drum kits, loop kits, and MIDI kits that'll level up your production there.